Grim bloke. Yeah. And then, ja, bruv. Yeah. Yeah, bruv. In it. Grim bloke. Let me tell you about this one time. I went through a porthole and snuck into the North Pole and got picked up in a Hyperborean DeLorean. They said they knew I was a Webster Merriam historian, master the numerical Gregorian, the hysterical mystic, no more than a Pythagorean. Conspiracy theory Ethereum in the etheric fear realm. I thought they were gonna take me to the crematorium in their Hyperborean DeLorean. Tested me on my Sumerian, Shakespearean. Knew I was a numerical vegetarian Aquarian. That I knew about the Tartarians, barbarians, Mars radium, aliens. Salt of the earth, solution Selenian. Spent the night in a Hyperborean chamber. I looked around and thought, bruv, who hired the painter? Hyperborean memoriam, auditorium, all cause I got picked up in the Hyperborean DeLorean. Introducing all love. Jack Ruff. Yeah. Invisible diamond minerals, crystalline and swimming pools, interdimensional realms of scrapping Catherine, Bahamas, Azores, Atlantis shores, mountains, temples, marble floors, sea floors, treasure and cities lost. Yeah, bruv, in it. Oh, sphinxes, pyramids and minotaurs, fruit grown in grove, luxuriant. In it. Inhabitants intelligent, closest seen to perfection. The whole experience, heaven to them, polar aurora, horizon beyond them. Flats and sky, lake of fire, core and flora, but bright comets, tornadoes, turbulence, not prohibition, more. Not forbidden, thought expansive, places massive. In it. Yeah, bruv. In it, oh. Just hanging around. Yeah. Telling stories in the Hyperborean DeLorean. Grim bloke. Jack bruv. In it. Just hanging out around. Oh, Jack bruv. 88892. If you didn't know, now you're forever exploring an interdimensional historian. Just hanging around telling stories in the Hyperborean DeLorean. Just hanging around. Jack bruv. Grim bloke. 8892. If you didn't know, forever exploring the interdimensional primordial historian moratorium. Just hanging around telling stories in the Hyperborean DeLorean.
Welcome back, ballers. Best night of the week. Good to see everybody. Rambo, Cody, can you guys hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Can hear you as well.
Fantastic. So good to see you guys. Happy holidays to everybody who do celebrate the holidays. I just want to extend a sincere thank you guys to this year. Seriously, it's been a ride, and very much looking forward to the new year. So I just want to open by saying that you guys are a true blessing. I'll start crying if I go on for too long with that. But thank you guys so much for, like every week, being in my corner, hanging out, having a good time. huge shout out to the chat. You guys are always the best. Just huge thank you to everybody. And thank you, Cody, for the reminder to make sure I hit the little tab so we can actually listen to the music of the intro. that
Yeah,
goes
it
a
seemed
lot.
to work well this time.
Goes a long way for sure. So yeah, let me get the slides up. Hold on just a second. Still learning to drive the Hyperborean DeLorean. Almost there. Here we go. All right, you guys, we're going to jump right into it. For those that aren't familiar with me, AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's in Ball. You guys can find most of my content on Instagram and on YouTube. I do want to just remind everybody that my 11th book now, Sorry Charlie, is officially in hard copy. Thank you to those who have reached out and supported my work and are interested in a hard copy. Just so you guys know, I have a little stack here of those books ready to ship. I'm just waiting for the holidays to pass. I don't want to throw those books in with, the millions of packages moving around. So just stay patient. Those are coming. And thank you guys so much for everything. Love you all. Rambo, please, quick introductions.
Yeah, thanks again, AJ, for putting this together. And thank you, Cody, for making yourself available as well, sharing your amazing knowledge. Appreciate you both. The slide says it all, where I can be found. Patreon.com/the truth codes. There's only one tier. It's $5 tier, $5 per month. That's the only tier. And you get access to the Discord, Codebreaker community Discord, as well as part of the membership. And I'm also available on, my work can also be seen on Instagram.com. Plus, on the Patreon, there's some free content. There's a little bit of free content. There's some. You can join for free and get something. So one of the things you can get for free is you can get access to part of a full library of past videos. There are quite a few that are available for free from the past. And that's what's available on patreon.com.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Thank you, Rambo. Once again, you guys, $5 a month, not a day, not a week. Best deal in town. Just give them a free subscription. Take a look at the free stuff. And or just hang around tonight and you'll see what Rambo's all about. So thank you again, Rambo, so much. True blessing.
Yeah, thank you.
Cody, what's up, man?
Yeah, thanks to you, AJ, for setting this up as usual. And thanks for Rambo again for all that you do and your great knowledge as well. And I appreciate you and everyone in the chat as well, who adds and who watches. I appreciate you all. And you can find me on Decoding with Cody on YouTube, as it says on the screen there, just like that. And buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody is where you can support the work if you'd like. And that's the spiel. I guess I'll keep it quick for that. I think you're okay. Yeah.
I said, yeah, let's dive right into it. I saw that you've already requested share screen. So I know that each of us have a handful of things to talk about. But yeah, Cody, kick us off.
Yeah. Again, this week, a lot of stuff happened this week. I mean, nothing like really monumentally big, but there are a lot of interesting stuff happened this week. And I'm just want to start this, I guess, this eye to eye with what I covered on a video already, but Rambo's going to also talk a little bit about this. I just wanted to kind of get this out there again, considering our podcast is called Eye to Eye. I think this is kind of an interesting topic also to go with that. But so just quickly to run through what happened on the 19th was a huge day. Just in general, we had the fight between Jake Paul and Joshua, which they call Judgment Day. And then the movie release, the Avatar movie released, called Fire and Ash. And then this happened on Donnie Darko, Jake Gyllenhaal's 45th birthday. And it happened also on the same day that they said that AI Atlas was closest to Earth. Or not AI Atlas, 3i Atlas. But so just quickly, how does all this stuff connect? Well, it all connects with the name Jake. Jake Paul, Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday, and the movie Avatar, the main character's name is Jake. The guy who plays also, it was also the birthday of Jake Plummer. I know AJ, maybe you guys know who that is. Remember the Broncos quarterback, not AJ Plummer, Jake Plummer. It's also his birthday on the same day as Jake Gyllenhaal, the same day of this fight. And yeah, so just to kind of bring this together really fast, you know, he got knocked out right before the San Francisco. And notice that the colors of Jake Paul, he was wearing the Hulk Hogan colors, of course. We could talk about that as well at some point, but just out of time, out of the thing for time, I won't really touch on the Hulk Hogan thing. But yeah, he was wearing the yellow and red, or the gold and red, I guess, in a way. He got knocked out, and this probably ties into what Rambo's talked about already this year with the British and the Spanish, considering that the guy who knocked him out was British.
Hey, Cody, I'm so sorry to interrupt, man. I'm being very mindful of this, but I'm seeing Betty in the chat. She's saying that there's background voices. Are you guys hearing this?
I don't hear background voices.
I don't hear that either.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. Anybody else in the chat, if you guys are hearing that, let me know.
Yeah, is anyone else hearing that? That's weird. You didn't turn on the share volume this time again, AJ, did you?
No, I mean, I completely took down the share screen with the intro video.
Huh.
Okay,
No one else,
all right.
Everyone else is saying they don't hear anything.
Okay. Enthuse says that they're not hearing. Okay. All right. Sorry, Betty.
No, maybe it's something with Betty's thing or something. I don't know. That's weird.
Okay. All right. Okay. It looks like everyone else is good, Betty. Sorry. Maybe just click out and jump back in. Hopefully that helps. Sorry, Cody, please.
That's just really weird that she's the only one hearing that, because I think that's, oh, she said it's gone now. Okay, good. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. All right, cool.
But yeah, Jake Paul gets knocked out on Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday, wearing the red and yellow. And a day after that, the lights go out in San Francisco, which, yeah, I that's definitely connected. I even mentioned that. I mentioned before I even knew about the San Francisco blackout, I was like, wait, you got a black guy knocking out the lights of this guy, you know, the American. And the next day you get the lights going out in San Francisco where the Super Bowl is. And of course, that is completely tied to the Super Bowl because that blackout happened 50 days before the Super Bowl. And San Francisco equals 50, as well as the Super Bowl this year. Super Bowl LX equals 50, and blackout equals 50. And again, if you measure from, just to reiterate this, I don't have my slide up for it, but a huge find I found with that is that it was 635 days after the Baltimore Bridge was hit by the ship, which the power went out on the ship before it hit the bridge. That was in Baltimore. Well, the blackout Super Bowl was between Baltimore and San Francisco. And if you measure from the Super Bowl with the blackout between Baltimore and San Francisco, it was the 635th prime days. So literally the same number between the Super Bowl blackout between Baltimore and San Francisco and the bridge collapse in Baltimore where the ship's power went out. And of course, the photos of the blackout were showing the bridge being out of power. So that was mind-blowing. The same number, which just to me proved that this is all about the blackout bowl in connection with the bridge collapse in Baltimore. But yeah, just to get into that, we're talking about Donnie Darko, right? Darkness, blackout. But just to quickly go through this, Jake Paul's nickname is the Rooster, which is about waking up. He's fighting on Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday. The very first thing that the rabbit says to Jake before he wakes up is wake up. And notice that the words wake up equals Jake Paul. And I did mention in my video that Jake and wake are just one letter off. Just switch the W and the J. It's just one letter off. But 77 and 23 is the gematria. The 77 is interesting But the 49 I'm going to talk about in a minute is a bit more important. But 7 times 7 is 49, like the 49ers. But yeah, so wake up. I was already on this when I was already thinking about how Jake Paul was connected to this wake up theme with Donnie Darko, and then I typed in wake up and it equaled Jake Paul. I was like, okay, well that's a confirmation. Considering his nickname is the Rooster. And don't forget, Notre Dame put a golden rooster on top of the Notre Dame. The new spire is a golden rooster. But here's where, the gist of it is that, so out of all this stuff being connected, I've been talking about this all year before. I never did one decode on 3i Atlas, but I had told you guys, and I think I had mentioned on my other streams that the 3i is clearly a reference in my mind to the third eye. And I don't think it's a coincidence that on the day of all this stuff happening, this is supposedly the closest that the 3i Atlas was going to get to Earth. And so I started to look into it, and I realized that the movie that came out that day, they have a red slash right over her third eye. They have the video, or the cover even has in my opinion, a third eye type of layout where you have two pillars here. One, these are kind of like the two normal eyes, and this would be the third eye in the center, the way they designed the thing. And the whole thing is about fire, right? Fire. Well, fire is fundamentally associated with awakening and visions. But check this out. Awakening equals 85, like fire and ash. And notice that fire and ash equals 49, like third eye, same cipher. So that pretty much proved it to me. But on top of that, third eye equals fire and ash, and that's 49. Well, look at 3i Atlas. 3i Atlas, 49. Jake Paul, 49, same cipher. I mean, this 49 is huge, and I think that's why the 49ers are in play. But again, 7 times 7 is also 49. I talked about that number as well. But check this out. This is the most crazy part. Anthony Joshua, his nickname is AJ. And this is funny. We're here with Eye to Eye podcast with AJ. And just look at this. This is so organically connected with you, AJ. Anthony Joshua, AJ, knocks out Jake Paul. And he won in the 6th round. Look at the name of the chakra of the third eye. It starts with AJ.
That's funny, man, because the 3 was always my favorite number too.
Yeah, and
is it the third chakra, or is it just it's kind of the symbol in there?
It's the third eye, but it's the third eye, but it's the 6th chakra, which is why he got knocked out in the 6th round. Think about that. That's crazy. AJ chakra, he got knocked out in the 6th round. It's just crazy to me. And again, the third eye chakra is about vision, right? But this is what kind of brings it all together. Because I'm a wrestling fan, I know this. Jake Paul's brother is Logan Paul. Now look at the group that Logan Paul is in the WWE. Just look at this. Logan Paul is part of The Vision. The new group that's relatively new. And look at their logo. It's an upside down triangle, just like the.
Oh yeah. What does that mean though? Like the new group, is that just like him and his posse, or like other fighters or something?
It's a stable. Wrestling often has stables, like the Bloodline for a while, and then the New World Order, like Hulk Hogan was in, and that just goes with that too. He wore the Hulk Hogan colors, and Hulk Hogan was in the New World Order group, right? So wrestling always has these groups that they work together. Well, Paul Heyman, after he left the Bloodline, after he betrayed Roman Reigns in the Bloodline, he created this group with Seth Rollins. Well, they betrayed Seth Rollins, and now what you have now is Logan Paul and the two Braun breakers. This goes back to the Brown thing, so this actually ties in with the Brown thing and the Braun stuff.
And you have 2 Brauns in the NBA right now, don't you?
Right,
from Cleveland.
Right, and then they just added a new addition this week, a masked character who revealed himself to be Austin Theory. But I'm not going to get into that. But the whole point is here, what are the odds, guys? Like, all these things equal 49. Third Eye, Fire and Ash movie comes out the same day. Jake Paul, Three Eye Atlas, all equal 49. He gets knocked out in the 6th round by AJ. The AJNA chakra is the third eye, and it's the 6th chakra. And then his brother is part of the Vision. And the guy who created the Vision, remember, Seth Rollins, his whole thing is burn it down. It's all his whole thing is fire, like the Fire and Ash movie. And again, he created the Vision, and they have like literally the same logo, man. And look at this. This proves it too. Look at the name of the group. They go as the Vision. Look at the gematria. The Vision, 49, like third eye, like Fire and Ash. I mean, that should put it all together right there. Even the gematria points right to it. And then just quickly on the whole Judgment Day thing. Remember, this all happened on Jake Gyllenhaal's birthday. Well, the day before, you had a fiery plane crash from famous NASCAR driver Greg Biffle. And just to reiterate, Greg Biffle, look at what Greg Biffle equals. 77 and 49. The same numbers as Jake Paul. And those numbers I've been talking about, 77, 49, like the third eye. I mean, it's so obvious. This is like huge coding that no one ever talks about. I've talked about this before, that they're clearly coding the third eye into stuff. And this whole day was super synced to it. And then the day before that, like I said, you had the plane crash. And think about it, a plane crash of Biffle, and his name was the Biff. That was his nickname. This connects us to Back to the Future, which is highly connected to Back to the Future is highly connected to Donnie Darko. They both those movies go hand in hand. But look at this. Gyllenhaal equals plane crash, 43, 173. Jake Gyllenhaal equals Judgment Day. Basically, they all have the same numbers, right? Knockout equals 43, Florida 43. This happened in Florida. Jake Gyllenhaal, 40. His last name equals plane crash. Of course, the movie, there is a plane crash into his house. And then look at this. Donald Trump on the birth of the guy who knocked out, who won that day. This is how old Donald Trump was. 43 years, 124 days old. Judgment Day, 124-43.
Wow.
Florida, 124-43. Jake Paul knocked out by Anthony Joshua equals 124. So that was from Donald Trump's birth to Joshua's birth, like Judgment Day equals 43, 124. But if you measure from Donald Trump's birth to Jake Paul's birth, it's also a crazy number. Look at this, 18481. It's 184 forward and backwards. Well, the purse for the fight was 184 million. And look at this number. This is a very important number. 184.81 is the 2,117th prime and the 56 star number. We get this star numbers again, which I've pointed out multiple times of being used. But yeah, it was Judgment Day, right? And it's connected to Donnie Darko. Well, don't forget how big the number 56 is with the eye symbolism. Mind Control 56. Eye in the Sky 56. Eye of Horus 56. Huge number with the eye stuff. But yeah, Donnie Darko 56, Judgment Day 56. And again, Jake Paul born exactly 56 star days after Trump. But then this is what's crazy. Look at the gematria of Jake Paul knocked out, which is what a lot of people were saying this phrase. Jake Paul knocked out by Anthony Joshua. Look, it equals 290. While knockout equals 29 and 43. I actually did this decode live on the Illusions channel before the fight happened, and I typed it in the chat. I said, look, guys, Donald Trump is 29,043 days old on this fight. I bet there's going to be a knockout, 29, 43. And the Illusion was also talking about it. We both were on it. But look at this, 290. Jake Paul knocked out equals 290. Knockout equals 43. Trump was 290, 43 days old. Wow. And just to finish this off, Jake Gyllenhaal, he was in a movie called Southpaw, which is about a boxing. Just to throw that in there. And then to finish it completely off with the whole theme of the year with Charlie Kirk, look at this. Snake eyes, don't believe everything except your eyes, as in plural. Jesus said, if thy eye be single, thy body be full of light. This says, believe everything except your eyes, your dual eyes, your two eyes. And again, what did this connect to? This connected to the shooting of Charlie Kirk, with the guy in the movie being called Charles Kirkland. And how did the movie start off with? September 10th or September 19th, whatever the date was, there was a boxing match, right? And look at the days between 9, 9, 9, 6, like basically all sixes and nines. But look at the gematria. Jake Paul equals Snake Eyes in 2 ciphers. And again, Snake Eyes equals 49, like Jake Paul. And again, this number is huge. Jake Paul, 49, 3-eye atlas, like the third eye, 49. The Vision, 49, third eye, fire and ash, all equal 49. Greg Biffle died the day before. He equals 49. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think it's pretty clear that is a theme of this fight.
Yeah, Mr. S mentioned, don't forget Jake Paul's from Cleveland too, isn't he? Home of the 216 area code, 6 times 6 times 6, right? And a ton of the Charlie Kirk stuff was 666. Major shout out to Joseph Aquaviva. I've shouted him out in my Charlie book as well. I have a whole chapter just on Charlie Kirk and 666 as well. So, yeah.
But yeah, other than that, then if I have time, I'll get into this. Last week I was going to get into it too, but I'm just going to pass it off to Rambo for now. But I have a huge golden ratio thing with Phillip Rivers that was more confirmed than it already was, but I might try to get that towards the end. But for now, we'll let Rambo add to what he sees or what he's going to share.
Yeah, thanks. So, yeah, it was an amazing decode. So there are 2 themes. Yeah, so there are 2 themes here that are connected, and these are decodes that I've talked about at length this year. How did this year start? We're almost at the end of the year. I can't believe how fast it went. It felt like 7 months, honestly, to me. It's already over. January 1st, 2025. Very first day. What did it start with? It started with a Tesla Cybertruck exploding outside of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. That's how the year started. It started with a car on fire, and that set the stage for the Chariots of Fire theme. It started on January 1st, as soon as the year started, and it's ending with the same thing, a chariot on fire. When else in the middle of the year? Maybe not as big a story in the United States. It's a big story worldwide. It's rare that you will see what I would term an A-list athlete who's in his prime. Former athletes, yes, or sometimes an athlete who's maybe not as recognizable, not as prominent, but an active A-list athlete dying in his prime. That was on September 3rd, 2025, Diogo Jota of Portugal, who also played for Liverpool Football Club in England. He died in a fiery car crash, a Lamborghini crash in Spain. You were talking about the red and yellow trunks and how that's the colors of the flag of Spain, or that's where. So I'd say, so the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. It started with the Tesla Cybertruck exploding outside of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. In the middle of the year, July, it was Diogo Jota, the Portuguese soccer star, who died in a fiery car crash. And now it ends with let's say the maker of Grand Theft Auto died in a similar sports car fiery crash. I'll say, so how does this tie into Third Eye? KODI has already talked about some of the connections. So it has to do with the biblical narrative of chariots of fire. And it was the prophet Elijah. So there were 2. There's Elijah and Elisha. They both perceived chariots of fire in the sky. They were surrounded by the Syrian army. So Elisha was surrounded by the Syrian army, his forces, and his servant. And they looked doomed. They were outnumbered. And the servant freaked out and said, basically, well, we're done for. And Elisha said, no, we're not, because our forces in our favor, I'm paraphrasing, outnumber the Syrian army. What forces? So the Syrian, there are no forces, it's the Syrian army. What they say is that the Lord, or well, Elisha enabled, I guess, through God, the eyes, quote unquote, the eyes of the servant to open. What did that mean? They were talking about his third eye. This has to do with dimensional perception. When you're in the third dimensional 3D realm, you cannot perceive outside of 3D. You can only perceive with your 5 senses. The human eye is extremely limited, and that's an understatement. The human eye perceives less than, I believe, 1/7,000th of a percentage of the total electromagnetic spectrum. It's verified by science. You can look it up. The human eye it's virtually blind. It's just not. It doesn't need to perceive much. That's why it's such an illusion realm. So the servant of Elisha, his eyes were opened. They're referring to the third eye. That meant giving him the ability to see beyond 3D. The chariots of fire were in the sky, but they were in 5D. They're 5-dimensional. That's not a spirit realm. That's not spirit. It's actually physical, but in the 5th dimension, which cannot be perceived through the 2 eyes. That's what that's referring to. So his third eye was active. He could see the chariots. That's why he was just relaxed. Then what Elisha did is he enabled, according to the passage, the Syrian army for their third. They're not going to use that terminology, but it's the third eye of the Syrian army enabled them to perceive beyond 3D and see in 5D, which is what they're describing. They're describing pretty much extraterrestrial craft that can move in and out of dimensions. The Syrian army, their eyes were temporarily opened, which is their third eyes. They saw the chariots of fire and they immediately surrendered because they were overwhelmed. And that's actually what that's about. And Elijah gets taken up into the sky eventually. Unlike Elisha, Elijah doesn't stay on earth. He gets taken up into one of the chariots of fire in a whirlwind of fire and is gone. And he's never seen it. He's taken up to heaven. I mean, that's beam me up, Scotty. That's teleportation, basically. This is all science. This is all advanced science that they're describing that probably was available then. Now, this ties into the Bible verse in the New Testament now that you're referring to, which is Matthew 6:22. Very key verse. Matthew 6:22. And there are different versions, King James. If this is quoting Jesus is saying this, if therefore thine eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. Now, does that make sense? That if your eye is just single, it'll fill your body with light? Wouldn't you be full of light with both eyes, not a single eye? That doesn't make sense if you're talking about physical eyes. That only makes sense if you're talking about the third eye, which can perceive way more than the 2 eyes can. When Jesus says, if your eye is single, then your body shall be full of light. He's referring to the third eye because it makes no sense any other way. And it's Matthew 6:22. In Gematria, I believe this is the reverse ordinal cipher. Chariots of fire equals 226, which is the reflection of 622. Now, this ties into the Diogo Jota, the Portuguese player who died in the fiery car crash. He had just been married on 622 or 226. You could see it as 22nd June or June 22nd. Either way, Matthew 6:22 it's like June 22nd. That was the day on which Diogo Jota got married to, and his bride, her last name is, I don't know how to spell, Rute, like Ruta. He had just been married, and then on July 3rd, he's reported to have died in the fiery crash. Like, so that all ties in with chariots of fire. Chariots of fire in Gematria is 226. Matthew 6:22 is about opening your third eye, and this is quoting Jesus. Your eye has to be single for your body to be full of light, not two eyes. It's when your eyes single, can your body be full of light? He's referring to the third eye. It's the only thing that makes sense. And the chariot of fire narrative refers to Elijah and Elisha, who were able to perceive something that normal vision could not perceive, which was chariots of fire. So that's where the third eye, and like KODI pointed out, it's not a coincidence that three-eye Atlas, third eye, is at its closest at the time that all this is happening.
And I'd like to shout out West Coast Hippies comment in the chat that kind of brings it all together, because saying that Chariots of Fire movie came out in 1981. Well, that's pretty interesting, because Philip Rivers, when was he born? 1981. When was the plane that crashed with Greg Biffle built? Yeah, it was built in 1981. Same year as, and he died just days after Philip Rivers came back. So, and he died in a fiery crash, right? Coming down, spiraling. And this actually connects to what else I was going to talk about too, with the golden spiral, spiraling down into the rabbit hole, into reality. Like, I'm not going to get into that again right now, but it's actually, this comment just blew my mind, because I didn't think about how that movie came out the year Philip Rivers was born, and the year that plane that Greg Biffle was flying on, that was the year that plane was built.
And if I can shout out Apache Ghost here really quick. How many plane crashes have we seen this year? More in focus and dramatic and explosive than ever before. Snakes on the plane. Snake eyes. Let's not forget about who was the host or the one that introduced Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl this year. Samuel L. Jackson, right? One of his kind of B-list movies being Snakes on a Plane. And then later this year, we had kind of the epiphany of snake eyes. And it goes back to what you were saying, Rambo, about, just the eye. And someone in the chat, I apologize who I missed on that, but they mentioned, and Rambo, you've been talking about this forever, the material plane. The single eye or the two eyes keep you on the material plane, essentially, right?
That's what it perceives. That's the only thing it can perceive, the physical eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then don't forget how the year started too, not only with that fiery explosion, but the fires in California. And WWE debuted their thing on Netflix that day in the arena in Los Angeles on the day the fire started. And the woman who won the title and held the title for most of the year, she was the longest reigning champion this year. Her name was Tiffany Stratton, and she says it's Tiffy time. And she always says that, but Tiffany is a phrase connected to epiphany, which connects to the third eye as well. I did a video on the third eye at the very beginning of the year on this fire theme and the third eye, and Tiffany Stratton being made the champion during the LA fires. So, and then this guy that just crashed in his car, his red Ferrari, in a fiery crash, he crashed in LA County, so not far from LA. Right, and he crashed on the same road that Donnie Darko was filmed, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But it all ties in, kind of how that theme this whole year has been leading maybe to the fire horse starting. Right, I mean, we've been in the wood year all year, and now we're heading into the wood snake going into the fire horse. So perhaps chariots of fire, horses pull chariots. Perhaps it's the most is still to come.
West Coast says that he owes you $20 now.
Who? Oh, why?
Well, in his comment, he said $20 for who can make that connection.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't see that part, but yeah.
Buymeacoffee.com/decoding with Cody.
Yeah, if you want to. That's not a big deal if not, but yeah, if
So now there's one really big one that ties what I'm saying all together, confirms it. Another fiery crash this year in LA, another Tesla as well, Cybertruck, crashed and caught fire. That fiery crash, chariot of fire, belonged to the son, one of the top recruited high school basketball players, the son of Gilbert Arenas. What is his son's name? Elijah. Elijah's chariot caught fire in LA, which that pretty much sums it up. You know, it's not just me being creative.
Is it the same Arenas that ended up playing for USC, the Trojan?
That's him. Yes, he's drafted. He was what's that? Recruited by the USC Trojans. Yes, but he was one of the highest, one of the top prospects in high school in basketball. Well, his name's Elijah, but it's Elijah with an A, Elijah, and he's in a fiery car crash. These fiery car crashes refer to chariots of fire, which refers to objects that are in the 5-dimensional plane that can only be perceived by an organ that is not physical, that is not 3D, namely the third eye.
What's interesting about Arenas is that his father, Gilbert, who played in Golden State, won championships in San Francisco, he went to Arizona, right? So it kind of ties back to, my alma mater, but Arizona is also home of the Phoenix, right? So that fire and ash connection,
Exactly.
and like you emphasized the A, well, the University of Arizona, who's currently #1 in college basketball, their logo is the A. So
yeah, so I have like a 5-minute video. This is kind of switching subjects a little, but it is an ongoing thing. It does tie into the fight that happened this weekend between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. So I do have decodes, which I'm doing now, I'm focusing on Jack Parsons. Jack Parsons, I believe, is relevant now. He's an underrated rocket scientist. I guess the most influential NASA rocket scientist. That credit goes primarily to Wernher von Braun. And I'll go into the pronunciation of the name. It's nearly not pronounced Braun. That's an American pronunciation. It's pronounced von Braun in German. It's actually Brown. But Jack Parsons, he's almost as influential, but he's also an occultist, and he was part of Crowley's Thelema. And he was also an associate of L. Ron Hubbard, who pretty much swindled him and took all his money. So Jack Parsons was a genius. He was a savant. He was a genius. It's almost like you can't explain how he got that smart. He didn't even need to go to college to learn what he did. So he made a lot of money, and he was swindled. All his money was taken by L. Ron Hubbard, who was also a follower of Crowley's Thelema. But one of the things that makes Jack Parsons so significant right now is because mainstream now is talking about the Antichrist, primarily because of Peter Thiel. And Elon Musk has made Antichrist references in the past in regards to AI and technology, but Peter Thiel now has made the Antichrist discussion mainstream. Well, Jack Parsons, #1, considered himself to be the Antichrist, even though if you look at his history, he never really harmed anyone, but he did the sex magic and the rituals, and he also participated in a ritual that he thought, several rituals. His intention was to create a moon child that would birth the Antichrist on Earth. That's Jack Parsons. And that's why I feel he is relevant now. And yeah, so I'll show my video. It's part of a lengthy decode. I have so much on this subject matter that okay, this is an excerpt. I already released a video earlier for Patreon on this, but yeah, well, this is along the lines of the two themes, Brown theme and yes, Jack Parsons and the shootings at Brown University and at Bondi Beach in Australia.
Providence, Rhode Island is in the news with the campus shooting at Brown University. Providence is also home to Providence College, who have an NCAA Division I hockey team who were national champions in 2015. I also mentioned the Rhode Island Duck that's become a mascot of the New England Patriots of the National Football League. This was about 2 weeks before the Brown University headlines in Providence, Rhode Island on December 13th. The hockey team of Providence College is currently ranked 17th nationally. Their highly rated goaltender is named Jack Parsons. This comes as Providence, Rhode Island dominates national news. A more recognized NASA rocket scientist is Nazi Werner von Braun, pronounced Brown, which is who was involved in the moon landing project, although Jack Parsons' contributions are understated.
It's a space-age-old question. How do you pronounce the last name of the leader of the German scientists who developed the Saturn V rocket and took men to the moon? Braun or Brown? Apparently, a lot of people, even in the Rocket City, don't know. Well, he went to his namesake VBC and asked folks. Do you know what the B stands for?
Braun. Braun?
Von Braun.
To the American eye, this looks like Braun, but in German, the name is pronounced Brown. Though it's tough to find a video of Werner von Braun saying his own name on camera, I have talked to his daughter several times who confirmed the Brown pronunciation.
Margaret von Braun.
Still don't believe me? Google how to pronounce von Braun.
Werner von Braun.
Doc Brown is a fictional scientist that I've been focusing on all year. He's officially said to be of the von Braun family, the mad scientist archetype. Jack Parsons was a real-life mad scientist. The very next day after the Brown University shootings was the shooting death close by in New England at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology of a very elite-level, world-renowned Portuguese scientist, Nuno Loureiro. His killer, Claudio Neves Valente, is alleged to be the same perpetrator of the Brown University shootings from 2 days prior. They purport that Valente ended his own life. So scientists are a theme with the Parsons and Brown names. Providence College, whose highly rated goaltender is Jack Parsons, are nicknamed the Friars. This is another Brown reference, since although they wear other colors like gray, friars typically wear brown habits. Think of the most famous fictional friar, Friar Tuck of Robin Hood's Merry Men. Robin Hood is an archer associated with the friar. The location of the December 14th, 2025 Sydney Bondi Beach shooting was Archer Park. The archer is the symbol of the zodiac sign of Sagittarius. December 14th occurs during Sagittarius in the tropical zodiac. The 2014 documentary about the rocket scientist and occultist Jack Parsons is titled Jack Parsons, Jet-Propelled Antichrist. This title has a gematria value of 3030 in the reverse Sumerian cipher. Now look at the capacity of the stadium, Schneider Arena, that is home to the Providence Friars and goaltender Jack Parsons. 3030. 3030. The gematria of Jack Parsons, jet-propelled Antichrist. The Providence Friars won the NCAA championship in 2015. It had been 30 years since they last made the championship game. And goaltender Jack Parsons, who plays at Schneider Arena of the 3030 capacity, wears jersey number 30 for the Friars. December 14th is during the Christmas season. Huge major shout out to Casey Jones, Bobby Simpson for pointing out that the Christmas carol, Winter Wonderland, contains the line, quote, "Pretend that he is Parson Brown." Parson Brown. during the Christmas season. Brown is a moon-related term, as Bobby Simpson Casey Jones teaches us. The term brown lunation refers to a new moon, with the first new moon using the brown lunation term occurring in 1923. Jack Parsons' research was used in NASA's moon missions, and there is a Parsons crater on the dark side of the moon named after Jack Parsons. As I mentioned in my previous video, Alan Parsons was a sound engineer on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. So, Winter Wonderland, Parson Brown.
In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say,
"No." Yes, that's a snippet.
That's unbelievable, Rambo. Unbelievable. Can we get some thumbs up? Let's get some likes in the chat. I mean, oh my God, Rambo! Like your work is absolutely out of this world.
Yeah, thanks. So I have more tie-ins. I mean, I just decodes for days on this. So this ties into the Anthony Joshua fight with Jake Paul. So, I mean, I'm fully convinced that just Jack Parsons is relevant, especially because of the Antichrist talk. And so what you're going to see is, I was saying, like, so he's a co-founder of NASA's Jet Propulsion Labs. It's called JPL. JPL is Jet Propulsion Labs by NASA. Jack Parsons co-founded the Jet Propulsion Labs. There's no proof of this, but I'm convinced that this is the case. They are, on an occulted level, acknowledging Jack Parsons, NASA, by calling it JPL. JPL is really Jack Parsons Laboratories. It's not it's not Jet Propulsion Labs. I think on an occulted level, they're really acknowledging Jack Parsons. So I thought, if they're doing it, JPL, surely there's going to be, or there must have been, JP in the news, because Jack Parsons is relevant. Another thing is, I talked about the Economist magazine, how they did 2026 year preview, and it's full of rockets. There's rockets all over it. Strangely, missiles and rockets is all over the cover of the Economist. I think that's a Jack Parsons shadow, and I'll show you how he's connected to Werner von Braun as well. And Doc Brown, I've been talking about Werner von Braun before this. So who's the JP in the news? Jake Paul. And is it a coincidence that Jake Paul fought on the day of the new moon? The day he fought Anthony Joshua was the day of brown lunation. Brown lunation is the new moon, basically. That is the day they chose for Jake Paul to fight Anthony Joshua. So I'm saying this is just my notes that I have. I'm speaking extemporaneously. I'll do a decode on this formally to see all the images. What color trunks, and this is a rare color in sports, what color trunks did Anthony Joshua wear? He wore brown trunks. Anthony Joshua wore brown trunks because the fight was happening on brown lunation, the new moon, on December 19th. And take a look, have a look at some of Jake Paul. Again, it's JP, Jake Paul. If I think of their last names, Paul's last name is P. What's Anthony Joshua's last name? It's Joshua. It's Joshua versus Paul, JP. It's Jack Parsons. So look, take a look at some of Jake Paul's tattoos. So he's very zodiacally conscious. I've talked about in the tropical zodiac. I mean, even if you don't know astrology, the important thing to look up, if you're not familiar with it, in the tropical zodiac, the 12 sun signs, the Western zodiac, the key there is the ruling planets. That's the key. That really is the key. That's where all the properties come from, more from the ruling planets than really from the sign itself. So you can just look up, every sign, and look Sagittarius, you'll see it's Jupiter, and that's the key. And then you think of all the symbology that comes along with Jupiter. The ruling planets are the key. Jake Paul is very conscious of this, and his handlers, because he's a Capricorn. He was born, I believe, January 17th. Makes him a Capricorn in the tropical zodiac. So he has the Capricorn glyph, goat, but he also has his ruling planet, Saturn. He knows this. He knows he represents Saturn. And so this is his a little closer if you can see. This is the planet Saturn. I don't know if you can see it clearly, but what else does he have here? It's an astronaut. I think he's depicting the moon landing as well. It looks like an astronaut, a typical astronaut, most likely on the moon, along with the Saturn, which is his ruling planet. What was the name of the rocket which Wernher von Braun is given credit for launching the moon mission? Saturn V. So Saturn is directly associated with the moon. Also in the cardinal cross, the two signs directly opposing each other is Capricorn and Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. That's one axis of the cardinal cross, and he's aware of that. So he's a Capricorn, but the opposite sign from him is Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon, which is why he fought Mike Tyson. Now, when he fought Mike Tyson in Dallas earlier this year, it was on the night of a full moon. It's not a coincidence. So his fight with Tyson is under a full moon. His next fight of the year with Joshua is under a new moon, that's what brown lunation is, when the moon is at minimum luminosity. It's all tied into the moon, and he even has a moon landing tattoo along with that. And another thing, Saturn is also the judge. Saturn rules karma, which, again, the karmic cycle has everything to do with this. Third eye, avatar, fire and ash. It's about the cycle, the phoenix. It's fiery. It dies, turns to ash, is reborn again, is fiery, turns to ash. Any of that cycle symbolism refers to reincarnation. And the ruler of karma and the reincarnation cycle is Saturn. And what happens when you die? Metaphorically, it's called Judgment Day because you're being judged. Your soul is being judged. That's why it was called Judgment Day, as KODI referred to. It is Judgment Day. But who is the judge? It's Saturn. Who's Saturn? Jake Paul is Saturn. He even has a tattoo on him. It's like direct. It's not even me saying it. He has a Saturn tattoo on him, but he also has a moon landing tattoo. So there's a lot more on this and Brown, but there's one more thing. Yeah, I'll leave it off here. One more thing is I really have to shout out one of my patrons, Aris, he's in Australia, and he was already calling a major event in Australia. He's been telling me there's going to be a major event in Australia. He's been seeing the signs, and he was right. But he pointed out so it showed the passport of there's a father and son shooting the Hanukkah celebration. Naveed Akram is who they're alleging did it. And he showed a close-up of Naveed Akram's driver's license. It has his street address. It is Brown Road. I can't tell it's a 28 or 29, but he lives on Brown Road. And there's a lot more Brown. But I'll leave it there for now.
Well, Rambo, shout out to Mighty Tager 3000 saying, Rambo, the woman that he married, Jake Paul, I'm assuming, is also a Cancer son. She's famous off of YouTube as well. Not familiar with the details, but I know that from the tabloids.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know about that. But so to me, it looks like they're consciously coding in that Cancer Capricorn axis. And what is it about? Remember I said just the key. Even if you're new to astrology, just look this up. Like, make note of the ruling planets. It's all about the ruling planets. So again, the ruling is already a planet, but the ruler of Cancer is the moon, and the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn. So it's the moon. It's more about the moon and Saturn. So that's what they're associated. Now the moon and Saturn are associated. I'm sure they're coding this into his marriage. David Icke talks a lot about the Saturn moon matrix. It's a theory that one of the influences on the world we have here, the matrix, whatever it is that Saturn has a major influence, and that Saturn is emitting, something's being emitted from Saturn, probably from its rings. Its rings are pretty mysterious. So the crystals, what are those things? But there's this theory that Saturn emits some kind of frequency to the moon, and the moon reflects it to Earth. But what Saturn and the moon have in common is the number 29. Because the moon's orbital cycle is 29 days around Earth. Saturn's orbital cycle around the sun is 29 years. So 29 is a number that unites it pretty much is indicative of the moon, Saturn, you could say axis or matrix. It's 29 because they both have a 29 orbit. Anthony Joshua going into the fight with Jake Paul, how many wins did he have? He had 28 wins, career wins. That was his 29th. Yeah, there are a couple other 29s, which I have in my decode. I have notes on this, but yeah, it's in my notes. There are a couple other 29 was big here because that's the number that unites Saturn and the moon. They both have 29 orbits. So it did look, I mean, we've seen decodes that look like they're a sure thing. Like, oh, well, Anthony, you see all this and say, well, Anthony Joshua's 28 wins. Of course he'll get his 29th. We've seen decodes like this, like, and it doesn't work out. But clearly it did on this occasion. He got his 29th. Yeah, I can't remember. Oh, 29. Okay, yeah, NASA was founded on the 29th. NASA was founded on July 29th. I don't have all my notes here, but it will be in my decodes. Yeah, there are a 29 was key to this as well, but it has to do with that. And I didn't know that. I'm thanks to that contribution about Jake Paul's partner. They are clearly being conscious of the Capricorn Cancer, which more importantly, it's Cancer Moon association.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find, here we go, Mr. S, of course, always with great stuff. Pointing out that, yeah, Jake Paul was born on January 17th. So was Jim Carrey, right? We've talked about Jim Carrey and kind of the dog connections and the dog star. But he was also in a movie called Man on the Moon. I believe that was a documentary about an old time comedian. But that makes a lot of sense, especially because in the Truman Show, when he's sitting on the beach and like the rain just falls on him and then he gets up and he moves around. I'm pretty sure right before that happens, they show the moon just huge, right, as he's sitting there out at night. So I thought that was interesting. And the only other thing I wanted to add to your video and what you were saying, Rambo, about, and even earlier, the fiery crashes, right? The Tesla fire truck, fiery crashes. And with your stuff about the fryers made me think of like the other way you can say a fryer, right? Like an air fryer, right? Everybody now has air fryers. So there's your air theme, there's your transportation theme. And lastly, where is it? Where is Providence? Rhode Island. Road. So it's all kind of right there. Fiery road, the fryers in Rhode Island. Do you see what I'm saying?
Can I say real quick? That's a great point about the double entendre with fryers, because that ties directly to Hanukkah. December 17th attack on Bondi Beach, which is also the day of the death of the shooting allegedly by his son of the Hollywood actor and director. And on the same day, it was Micah Parsons was out for the year. The best defensive player in the NFL was out on December. So it all happened then. The fryer is very important that you brought up, because a Hanukkah tradition, which was December 14th, was Hanukkah. A Hanukkah tradition is to actually fry foods. They actually made some potato pancakes. You fry foods in, I believe it's olive oil. But the oil, you need to fry foods in oil because Hanukkah is all about oil. It's about the Hanukkah menorah has 8 branches with a 9th middle, stem, and 8 branches. And when they were going to, I guess, dedicate the second temple, and I guess must have been after the second temple was built, or maybe after their return from exile in Babylon, they did want to light the menorah, but they only had oil, 1 night's worth of oil, only 1 night. But Hanukkah is supposed to last 8 nights. So they took the 1 night's worth of oil, expecting the candle just to burn for that 1 night, and it miraculously burned for 8 nights. And It's like and that's why oil is so central to Hanukkah, and that's why, as part of the celebration, they fry. They do a lot of frying during Hanukkah, and that's because it is based on a legend which involves oil. So your fry double entendre detail is spot on. It's related to Hanukkah, yeah.
Yeah, Cody, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just I pulled this up here, but the nickname for the San Diego Padres is the Friars, and this connects to John Cena, and this connects to the Providence thing. To bring it back around, is that this all happened right after this whole John Cena stuff, right? That was a big theme. It was connected. John Cena's thing, retirement, was huge. But anyway, his last pay-per-view match was in San Diego. And there's been a lot of 619 themes going on. That's the 619 area code. And that's, of course, connected to King James and stuff, but we won't go there right now. But the Friars, right, playing in San Diego. John Cena's last pay-per-view match was in San Diego. And he said father-son during that entrance, which just blew my mind because, again, me and Sean Desaad, like SD, have been talking about how his father and, you know, there's a whole thing with me and him and the father and the San Diego. And then my birthday is 619, like the area code for San Diego. But you had that happen, and then that happened at the beginning of December or the end of November with John Cena in San Diego. And then you had all this stuff with Phillip Rivers happen. Well, where did Phillip Rivers play most of his career? In San Diego. And the day after Phillip Rivers returned, John Cena had his final match, or the day before John Cena had his day before Phillip Rivers returned, John Cena had his final match in Washington, and that was right before Washington's death date. But then we had the Providence shooting, right? Well, Providence is also going back to what I started talking about. It's the Eye of Providence. So this actually goes right back to the eye thing too, because it's the Eye of Providence. And Phillip Rivers, when he came back again, he was synced up with George Washington. And you notice that the year was 1782 that they put this. But the big they were coding the years into this stuff because Phillip Rivers retired. Like if you look at it, it's actually pretty crazy. He retired 17 from the day he had his final match to his return, or to John Cena's final match. But from Phillip Rivers' final game before he retired to John Cena's retirement was 1799 days. Well, George Washington died in 1799. Again, George Washington connected to the founding United States, the Eye of Providence on the seal. But how perfect, 1799 days between Phillip Rivers' retirement and John Cena's retirement. George Washington died or retired, right? Left Earth in 1799. And what's even more crazy too is if you go from the day that Rivers announced his retirement to the time he returned to play his game the next day on Washington's death date, it was 1789 days. Well, that's the year Washington became president. So they clearly coded these years in the past weeks into this. Well, then if you go from that, look at how this works out. If you go from Phillip Rivers' retirement to Greg Biffle's birthday, and again, Greg Biffle went down in a fiery crash right after Phillip Rivers returned. And I can share how Phillip Rivers is clearly connected to Greg Biffle. But look, Greg Biffle's birthday, which would be today, falls 1799 days after Phillip Rivers announced his retirement, which was Joe Biden's inauguration. So yeah, like they've been doing some crazy stuff with these years. And of course, the 1776 was connected with all this. John Cena was 1776, 6 days old on his retirement. And yeah, and then the United States turned 9/11/01. when John Cena turned 1776 0 days old, which that all connected with Daniel Jones going down. It's all connected. It's really all connected. It's so crazy. Once you see it all, it's almost overwhelming to be able, but we kind of put these pieces together slowly, but like, it's all connected. Everything's been happening. And the more that Rambo talks, the more I see that, the more I see how everything is, like kind of interwoven with everything else. But, yeah. And then I mean, I guess, I don't know if I could just share this real fast, like, cause it's such a crazy find that I made. Like,
Of course.
like, so me and Derek, before the game happened the first Phillip Rivers game, we had, this is our slide from before the game, his first game, which was last week on Washington's death date. And he played in Washington as the rivers were flooding in Washington. And we talked about how his whole code is the golden ratio. Okay. And that's because Philip PR is 16 letter and 18th letter. His name, he retired officially 16 years and 18 days after his first game. His gematria is Philip Rivers, which is 161 in ordinal and 80 in reduction, which is the first 5 digits of the golden ratio. Not to mention his name starts with PHI, which is phi, which is the golden ratio. So, I mean, how much more perfect? I mean, this is so clear. Like, anyone that could question this, his initials, his gematria, his career, his name is phi in it. It's even if you go to this this thing I have up here in the right corner, it says 161. His phrase that he lives by is nunc coepe, and it means now I begin. And so the Colts posted that on his return, nunc coepe. And look at this. In the Esqueve org, Jose Maria Esqueve, he has a dictionary for his writings. And the word he assigns the 1612 is Philip Rivers' phrase, nunc coepe, of course. And that's the gematria of Philip Rivers, 161. So there's that. But then this is where it gets crazy, guys. The score in his first game ended up being 16-18, right? That was already mind-blowing enough. But last night, in the 49ers game, Philip Rivers, on Monday Night Football, the world stage, the announcers had to reiterate a stat from that first game. Again, this was in the last game yesterday, but they had to go back to the week before. They had to bring up his stats. And remember, he threw for 120 yards. And he was born on 120 date numerology. But look at this. Golden ratio, 120. Right? He threw for 120 yards in his first game back. I mean, so clear, right? Just everything. And it's 60s here too. That's why I think the Super Bowl is going to be hugely connected to the same theme. Super Bowl 60, golden ratio equals 60. Actually, I need to unshare my screen and reshare it because you guys need to hear what they said last night. I about lost it. On top of the score being 16-18 in his return, look at the stats that they quoted yesterday. I just couldn't believe it. Let me find the video here.
Golden ratio, the gold rush, the 49ers.
Right, exactly. And wait till I bring this all together with the Lucas oil. Just wait till you see how this all connects. This is all crazy, man. I just
ties
found
right
this
back
today.
up to Rambo's, comments about the oil.
Well, yeah, that's why I was going to say this now, because it actually does connect to that. Like, it's just absolutely
you guys
wild.
are both cooking with oil, as they say.
Oh shoot, hold on, man, I'm all over the place here. Hold on, I need to share the sound. That's why I'm messing up, because I keep not sharing the sound. There might be a bit of an echo, so none of us might want to talk until I play this. So I'm going to share the screen, and then I won't talk, or actually it won't affect me, I don't think, but if you guys talk, it will be echoey.
I'll just mute.
All right, so can you guys see that?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay, and I don't know how, hopefully the sound, I'm going to turn my volume all the way up. and I'm going to try to play this, but listen to what the announcer said yesterday. The stat that they give us for Phillip Rivers in his first game, which was ended 16-18. Look at the stat they give us yesterday in versus the Golden team, right? The San Francisco. I don't know how well you could even hear that.
Yeah, it's very low, but he said 16 and 18 in a row on the road or something.
Well, yeah, I'll pause it so you guys can see it. Actually, let me just unshare my screen. Hold on.
Oh yeah, 16 of 18.
So listen to this. So I wrote it out on the video, and just in case you guys couldn't hear it.
Yeah, if you just full screen it, and I appreciate you putting it out in text. So I was able to hear it. It was just really quiet.
This is literally the stat they give. And what a kind of a weird stat to give, too, first of all. But look, they said he was 16 of 18 on throws within 10 yards, right? There's your first 4 digits of the golden ratio. And then they had to add this. He was 0 for 3 on throws 15 plus. What is the first 6 digits of the golden ratio? Exactly that, 161803.
Wow.
I mean, come on, guys. After the game was a score of 16-18 in general, and me and Derek talked about this before. This was our slide. This was our slide. Like, again, this slide right here was from before the game.
Wow.
And
yeah, it's amazing.
And then look at this just quickly. This gets even more mind-blowing because look at this. This I want to talk about this too because this ties into what Rambo's been talking about with the rabbit hole, Alice in Wonderland. So yeah, you might not, but I have the golden ratio. It looks like you're going down in a spiral, which connects to the plane crash, right? Going down, coming down, spiraling down. You know, when you think of a plane crash, you think kind of sometimes the planes will spiral down and like a spiral, but you have the rabbit hole, right? You have falling down into a rabbit hole. Well, the Colts, ever since their game in Berlin, and there's been articles using this term, downward spiral. They've been using that term. And what's funny is, you know, look at what the gematria of downward spiral is. $201, like Indianapolis equals 201. Same cipher. So there's that. And then we know how big that number is. But yeah, so then look, I mean, you have this, right? Going down, spiraling after they're in the Berlin game, right? And look at what they've fallen from 8-2 after the Berlin game to 8-7. Well, look at what the gematria of spiral is, 87. And in the loss that they had with Phillip Rivers last night against the Golden team, like Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco, was brought them to 8-7. But this gets even crazier because I know this connects to what Rambo's been talking about with the rabbit hole, right? But Fibonacci used the golden ratio originally to do rabbits, right? He used pairs of rabbits in order to basically just to figure out the birth. Like this was his theory of, they call it the rabbit problem, right? But again, the thing looks like you're going down into a rabbit hole. Like that's what the golden ratio is. But check this out. To bring this all together, where do the Colts play football?
Lucas Oil Stadium.
And how is Lucas connected to the Fibonacci? Look at this. Lucas numbers. Look at this. Lucas sequence is an integer sequence named after Francois Edward Anatole Lucas, who studied both the sequence and the Fibonacci sequence. Individual numbers in the Lucas sequence are known as Lucas numbers. Lucas numbers and Fibonacci numbers form complementary instances of Lucas sequences. I mean, come on now. Like after all this golden ratio stuff, I find out that I didn't even know about the Lucas number. I mean, I heard about it before, but I didn't even know that when I didn't know they were connected to they're connected to the Fibonacci. And there's even a spiral of the Lucas spiral. And if you watch the number file video about Lucas numbers, he says that the actual Lucas numbers are actually more intertwined to the golden ratio than the actual Fibonacci numbers, because the Lucas numbers have a different order. And when you multiply them or you square them, they end up being, you'll have to watch the video. There's a number file video on Lucas numbers. There's a huge YouTube channel on YouTube called Number File. And he goes over the Lucas numbers and he shows you how the Lucas numbers are better connected to the golden ratio than even the Fibonacci numbers. And those numbers are 18, 29. But get this, the Colts, going back to this, who is their most famous player? Peyton Manning. Played for both the horse teams. Philip means lover of horses. Phi in the beginning of Philip. Get this. What numbers did Peyton Manning wear? He wore 16 in college and 18 in pros. 1618. And I never noticed that until just a few days ago. I was like, wow. Peyton Manning wore the golden ratio. And he played for the horse teams with Phi in it, which is the golden ratio. And then now you have Rivers connecting to his old team. But yeah, Lucas Oil. And then how does this connect back to what we talked about with the Berlin game? It was all about Indiana Jones. Who wrote the Indiana Jones movies? Lucas.
Lucas.
You see how crazy? It's so crazy. Like the announcers had to throw that in there. And again, I believe it goes back to what Rambo's been talking about, spiraling down into this dimension, like the man. And if you go to Greg Biffle's last YouTube video he ever posted, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. Greg Biffle, he died just days after Philip Rivers returned. Greg Biffle died in North Carolina. Philip Rivers went to North Carolina State. The plane Greg Biffle died on was built the year Philip Rivers was born. Greg Biffle's last video was him and his wife at a PRI show, a racing show, first of all. PRI, guys, RIP, PRI. But what's the initials of Philip Rivers? PR. His last video, and where was the last video at? In Indianapolis. And what stadium did they show? Lucas Oil. In the very beginning of the video, him and his wife are walking. He walks past Lucas Oil, and then he goes to a PR, like Philip Rivers, I show. And what do they do at 16 minutes and 18 seconds into the video? They play a racing video game. And a few days after this, a race car driver, a guy dies in a car who makes video games. Like, and if what's even crazier, if you decode the caption for his video, this last video from him, it actually equals 208, like the Super Bowl's on 208. It equals 206, kind of like it's in the year 26. It equals 496, which is a perfect number. And the biggest one is it equals 530 in reverse, which is exactly how old Philip Rivers will be on the Super Bowl. He'll be exactly 530 months old on the Super Bowl. So it encodes the date of the Super Bowl and Philip Rivers' age. If you take this video, this last video post, again, they were in Indianapolis when they made this video. I'm not saying Indianapolis is going to the Super Bowl, because now their odds are under 1% to go. To even make the playoffs at this point. But they can still make the playoffs. And Philip Rivers even said in his last conference that he's made the playoffs with less percentage. I don't know what that means, but I don't think it's going to happen, though. They'd have to beat Jacksonville. And Rambo, one last thing. Jacksonville, you've talked about, as the Colts have spiraled down, right? Like down the rabbit hole, who has risen, right? It's the guy with the birthday of the Mad Hatter, 10-6. The guy where did Daniel Jones get hurt? He got hurt against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Where's the curse? The Indianapolis are cursed in Duval County, which is the Jacksonville Stadium. And what's his name? I can't even think of his name right now.
Trevor Lawrence.
Lawrence, yeah. Lawrence is born on Mad Hatter Day. And that's why I believe this is happening. This is exactly what you were talking about all year, Rambo. It played out. The Colts spiraled down the rabbit hole, and the Mad Hatter, he took the spot. His team is now in number one, because the Colts were number one. They spiraled out of control, and the Mad Hatter, the guy with the birthday, he's replaced him. So,
and in Magic, you pull a rabbit out of your hat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, the important thing too about Mad Hatter Day and the number on the Mad Hatter's hat, it's 106. The hat costs 10 shillings, 6 pence. That's why Mad Hatter Day is October 6th. Just to be clear on that, this is the 106th NFL season.
Yeah.
That's why that's extra significant. Yeah.
Cody,
Anyway.
that was freaking incredible, dude. I'm so glad that well, first of all, I just feel like a kid, you know, just getting a free PhD, like so and so said in the chat. Shout out to you guys. You guys are, you know, just
I mean, I got the PhD
completely
first,
next level.
you know, with this whole, you can imagine, I'm half asleep last night. I was able to download this because Germany has a site where I could download the game and actually watch it for 99 cents. I wouldn't have spent any more than that, to be honest. But I was like, okay, I want to watch this game, but it's the middle of the night, you know, and I was already had a headache last night, but I woke up and I watched it anyway, right? I'm laying there half asleep, kind of watching it. And I hear the announcer say he was 16 of 18 on throws under 10 and then 0 for 3. And then as soon as he said the 0 for 3, I was like, are you kidding me? They even had to throw the other 2 digits in the sequence in there. I couldn't believe it. And then
you're wide awake.
Yeah, and then I was wide awake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I literally
wake
about
up,
lost
right?
it.
It's the wake up, like how you started your presentation, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, just wow. And then the Lucas numbers thing, the spiral with that, like it's couldn't believe it. And then the oil thing, the Rambo already talked about. So yeah, it's just all crazy.
Yeah, I think the order of today's presentations are fantastic because with the way that you ended what you had to share, Cody, I think you're really going to appreciate on top of what I've already shared with you, you know, backstage, so to speak, right? I hit you up late last night with some of the stuff that I'll dive into in closing. But the last thing I wanted to add about this spiral thing goes back to what Rambo was talking about Jake Paul being a Capricorn and the tattoo he showed. And the Capricorn has that big spiral horn, right? I mean, that's essentially, it's all right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to make that observation.
Yeah, and I think that's more of a ram's horn. That would be more Aries.
Sure. I mean, I'm just pointing out the spiral of the horn. That's all I'm.
And that's significant because the Colts' first loss this season was against the Rams, and the Rams have the gold color, and they have that spiral. I believe the Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams are very connected to that. But this begs the question too. Philadelphia, are they going to go back with all this golden ratio stuff? Philadelphia, golden ratio. Of course, they are the champions right now, so maybe that's connected. Or is it going to be connect? I mean, I don't want to get into the whole Super Bowl prediction right now, but I'm just saying Philadelphia got the Phi connection. I don't think the Colts are going to make it. I mean, the numbers would point to him making it to the Super Bowl, Phillip Rivers, but it just doesn't. It doesn't seem possible. If it does happen, it will be absolutely. I'll lose my mind. Really lose my mind. But yeah, I mean, there's other teams that fit with this narrative. Like I said, Philadelphia. There's also other narratives we could look at too, but yeah, I won't get into that now.
Yeah, hey, Rambo, anything else you wanted to add to Cody's presentation before we kind of pivot to the last segment?
No, I mean, so I'm not going to get into it. Obviously, there were multiple sports events. I know it's not a big soccer crowd here, but in English soccer, there were multiple. There were a couple of games that were tied into the whole theme with the moon and the fight, because Anthony Joshua's from England, and there was I'll do those on my channel. But just a quick mention, because it you can bring my screen up, because Cody mentioned the Luca thing. It's really quick. Is Anthony Joshua is where he was born in Watford. Watford is it's like a northern suburb of London. Now, Watford are significant because their team, which plays in the second tier of English football, the division underneath the Premier League being the most popular sports league in the world. Well, the league below that, or if you finish the bottom three of the Premier League, you get relegated, and the top three move up. but that's where Watford are. They're in the second tier of English football. That's his hometown team, Watford. I don't have a graphic of that, but Watford wear red and yellow. So Jake Paul, and I believe this is part of the coding, was wearing the colors of the hometown football soccer team of Anthony Joshua, which is Watford Football Club, who wear red and yellow. Watford are famous because they used to be owned by Elton John. That's when they really transcended sports. Like, so even if you weren't into football or soccer, you knew, oh, that's Elton John's team. He since has sold the team. But since KODI was mentioning the Lucas and the Luca and George Lucas, I wanted to see who were Watford playing that weekend. So this game was the fight was on a Friday. The following Saturday is when Watford played. They actually won. They played at home and won. You can see their badge is red and yellow. They won 1-0. But the scorer, the Scandinavian name, he's Danish. Kurumgard. His first name is Luca. So yeah, that does tie in. Also his birthday, February 9th, which is 9th February 9th. Remember I talked about the 29? That's the number that brings together the moon and Saturn because they both have 29 orbits. So the score of the game, this is the day after that for Anthony Joshua's hometown team. His first name is Luca. I just wanted to add that so you can.
If you go look at the gematria of Manchester United football, just to add this in here while we're talking about soccer, if you go look at the gematria of Manchester United Football Club in I forget what cipher it's in. It's one of the bigger ciphers. It's not as the most relevant cipher, but it was one it's the only thing I found that's equals that. And the full title of the team equals 1618, right? And during this whole thing happening with Philip Rivers, they played a game, and their first two goal scorers of Manchester United were 16 and 18. I told you about that last week.
Yeah.
This was right after. Yeah. This was right after Philip Rivers' game where it ended 16 to 18. They had their first two goal scorers wore those two numbers. So I figured that was connected because I knew already for a long time that Manchester United Football Club equaled 1618 in gematria. So
yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, that was Monday night. That
yeah.
And just so people are aware of the connection with American sports, Manchester United are owned by the Glazer family who own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There's that connection.
If I can add a final kind of cherry on top of all this, going back to KODI's opening of his presentation, talking about the number 77. You guys know where I'm going with this one. Luca wears 77. He wears 77 for both Dallas before he went to the Lakers, right? So there's that connection. And then also, Rambo, shout out to you, pointing out this Luca's date of birth. Well, that was last year's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Was February 9th, right? And also the Watford connection and all of KODI's work on the watts and your work too, Rambo. I mean, just the frequencies, the watts, right? Connections there. So there's a lot of.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of the watt. That's a good one. So that's connected to blackout there.
Yeah.
I mean, like JJ Watt, he wore number 99. 99 is a big Jupiter number in gematria. Jupiter is, the lightning bolt. It's the planet with lightning. It's the electricity planet, which again, that's who has the lightning bolt logo. It's the Chargers. So kind of all Watt. Yeah, I never thought of the Watt. Okay.
Well, and think Chargers lightning bolt. Think about Charlie Kirk being shot sitting right underneath a lightning bolt. There was a lightning bolt on the logo, right?
Yeah, and just you had the blackout in San Francisco that has to do with Watt. That's gonna. I didn't think of that Watt connection to Watford, but yeah, that's
Well, today is Jim Harbaugh's birthday. Same birthday as today is actually Greg Biffle's birthday too. He just died. And we just had this blackout in San Francisco. Well, who was in the blackout bowl? It was Jim Harbaugh. So there's a lot pointing for the Chargers for sure. I mean, at least with that narrative, the blackout narrative. If the Super Bowl ends up being the Chargers, I would say we get a big blackout next year. If the Super Bowl ends up being the Chargers, I don't know if that's what will happen, but it certainly would would be in my case like the worst case scenario for a blackout happening for sure, because this guy coming back after being in the Blackout Bowl and that in San Francisco he coached, and then now he's at the Lightning Bolt team, and now he has, remember the birthday boy Justin Herbert does have the same birthday as Bad Bunny, so that would also be huge.
Yep.
And remember Puerto Rico
Energizer Bunny like batteries, right?
Right. And Puerto Rico had a huge blackout or they have often blackouts, but they had one this year too. And it was connected to Cody Rhodes and around the Pope stuff. I don't go into that, but yeah, so it would make sense. The blackouts do happen often in Puerto Rico, and that's where Jake Paul is from. That's where his home is. Puerto Rico.
Yeah, but from Cleveland, right? Going back to that, but
that's where they're out of. The two Paul brothers live in Puerto Rico.
I was also going to add too. Don't forget, I'm pretty sure anybody in the chat, keep me honest here, but the first time that Philly, because didn't Philly play the Chiefs twice in the Super Bowl? It wasn't back to back. I want to say it was like twice in 3 years.
Yeah.
The first time that Philly played the Chiefs was when they released a TV show called 9/11 Blackout.
Right. Yes.
And it took place in Los Angeles. That's where that show was based in, from what I remember. I would have to go back and double check that.
Yeah, I've covered that a lot. That a lot. You're right on that. It's the 911, the Blackout, LA. It's in this show, it's called Unit 118 that responds to it, which the blackout equals 118 in gematria.
Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
Also, LeBron James, or his full name, equals 118. And that was the same year, I think, shortly after that, LeBron had that big 38 ritual when he passed, not Kareem. I think it's when he got to number 2. But
the 118 blackout this year was the Spain blackout. It happened on the 118th day of the year. The blackout, 118. And the song they used for that trailer, the 911, the Blackout, was Paint It Black. Paint It Black, 118. And who died like earlier that year, I think? Charlie Watts from the band, from that same band, from the Rolling Stones, and that did that song. Charlie Watts. Charlie Watts. That connects perfectly to all this stuff. So yeah, the blackout's coming, man. There's gonna be more. There's gonna be blackouts, and the San Francisco thing is just more clues of that. I just talked about that last week. And then this blackout happened now. So, and I showed how clearly it was perfectly connected to again, I don't have my slides up, but if you guys watch my video from the other day, the same number between the bridge collapse with the ship blacked out and from the actual blackout Super Bowl is 635. That number connects both those things. So clearly coded.
Also, so Luca is also, it's a reference to lux in Latin, which is for light.
Yeah.
So yes, while there is blackout coding, there's also a lot of light coding. There's always light coding. Lux, the light. So Lucifer means light carrier. Fair means carry, like ferry in English, to ferry something. It's to carry something. So fair is to carry, and lux is light. So Lucifer is the carrier of light. And we've talked about the different stars. So Sirius is the brightest star, but also in the night sky. But also Venus is brilliant. Is associated with brilliance and the light. And Venus can be a female, can be Lucifer as well. And the female version of that would be Lucy. A lot of times when you say Lucy, you're referring to Venus. The sun can also be a light bearer. The sun can also be Lucifer, and that would be the male, Luke. So Luke is the sun, Lucy is Venus. So while there is blackout symbolism, there's also light symbolism as well, with all this Lucas. And what, again, we talk about the Lucas oil. What's the oil about with Hanukkah? It's about keeping the candles lit. Yeah. Miraculously, when they're not supposed to be lit. You have 1 day of oil, which lasts 8 days, which is the opposite of a blackout. It's like, only is it a blackout, the light's on longer than it should be somehow. So you're seeing, like, it's a duality type thing.
Yeah,
plenty of light symbolism as well. Yeah,
that match with John Cena was on St. Lucy's Day, which was the Providence shooting, and then that was connected to the next day the Colts played, right? So there was that whole thing, and then like I forget what I was going to say now, but it was St. Lucy's Day. That was the point of the like the whole Gunther beating John Cena on that day was a big St. Lucy's ritual. So, and then the sun right now has a huge black, if you watch the sun channels, right, it has a huge black hole on it, like a huge, and think about it, the sun, the light can also cause blackouts, cause solar flares, which cause blackouts. So that's a duality right there. But if you go on to like the Stefan Burns guy who covers this stuff now a lot, he covers the earthquakes and the solar flares and the AI Atlas. He showed just recently that there's a huge sunspot that's never been seen so far in this century on the sun right now, and it's turning towards us and looking like it could hit at the beginning of next year. So that's why I say that too, because there's even like the exoteric stuff even right now points to a possible blackout with the solar flares. So
also, I think this is a absolute perfect segue into what I had to share tonight. It's not going to be nearly as impressive as what you guys have, but I think it'll add a really nice cherry on top of this Sunday that we've been building tonight. So check this out. And Cody, I know it's getting late for you, man, but hopefully you can stick around, because especially once you brought up the Lucas thing, that it was something that caught my eye last night with what I was looking at. And then as soon as you brought it up, I was like, oh my God, look at this, dude. So what I just wanted to touch on, another big news story, right, was the death of, what's his name? Vince Zampella. He was,
or Z.
Zampella. Vince Zampella. He was the developer of Call of Duty. He was killed in a fiery Ferrari crash. And as soon as I saw this red car in a crash, right, I asked you about this, Rambo, and like you said, red cars and crashes and, just incidences that happen in the news. It's a lot of times it's a red car. But immediately it got me thinking about the movie The Skulls and Skull and Bones, right? And Cody, as soon as I brought this to your attention, you immediately saw that this particular crash, this story took place exactly 4,404 days after the red Porsche car crash of Paul Walker, right? And I mean, think about Luke Skywalker. Somebody in the chat already brought that up. Once again, transportation. Walking is a form of transportation, in my opinion. But besides the point, what was the very first game this year? With the massive 444 ritual, right? And lightning. And we just talked about Luca, who's now in Los Angeles. And this crash happened in Los Angeles. Luca, light, right? And the 444 connections there. But I'm really focusing on the movie The Skulls because, let's not forget, too, that he died on George H.W. Bush's birthday, I believe it was. Or was it his death date?
Yeah, George H. Walker.
Walker Bush, Paul Walker, right? But most importantly, for those of you guys that haven't seen the movie The Skulls, it is about Skull and Bones. And after, I don't know, halfway through the movie, maybe a little sooner, as a part of his welcome into the secret society, Skull and Bones, Paul Walker's character gets awarded a red Porsche, right? And sure enough, of course, later he ends up dying in a red Porsche. This ties back into what Cody pointed out about how in Donnie Darko, right? Shout out to you, Cody, with how you opened up your stream with Donnie Darko. Well, right? The first thing that Frank says to him is wake up. And he wakes up, he's in his pajamas next to his bike, right? And he rides home, right? Or at some point, he's riding his bike, and then of course now you have a red car that he's riding right past, right?
And this, don't forget, this scene, with the beginning of this scene, I'm not sure if it's this part of the scene, but beginning of this scene is shot on the exact same road that this guy just crashed his red car in.
That's right. Yes, that
It's Angeles Crest Highway. That's what it's called, Angeles Crest Highway. And that's exactly the same road that, if you look it up, they'll tell you that this scene where this crash happened, Angeles Crest Highway, look up Donnie Darko. It will say they shot the scene, the beginning scene of the movie. The first thing you see is from this highway. And then he just happens to drive by this red car after that.
Yep. And for those that haven't seen Donnie Darko, please do. Thank you again, Rambo, for really pushing me to go see that movie, because it changed everything for me, honestly. But the first time you see Frank, the bunny rabbit, right? He's at a golf course right next to the hole, right? Kind of referencing that rabbit symbolism. And Cody, as you were doing your thing, I had to build a slide to really segue into your Lucas connection here, because this is where it gets next level for me. Shout out to you, Cody, pointing out Fibonacci's rabbits and how he used rabbits with regards to the spiral and going down the rabbit hole, right? Where all that came from. Well, check this out. You have Paul Walker, who plays alongside the actor Joshua Jackson. Mm-hmm. We've been talking a lot tonight about Anthony Joshua play against Jake Jack, right? Pretty similar. Guess what the character's name is that Joshua Jackson plays?
Oh, it's Lucas. Oh, wow.
He plays Lucas. And the opening scene in this movie, he's riding a bike.
That's Skulls? Is that the movie Skulls?
The Skulls. Yep, 2000. This came out before 9/11.
He has a reference to light, and light can be a metaphor for knowledge as well. And I think that might be what they're going with.
Yep.
Yeah.
The opening scene.
I think it just all goes back to the third eye, like third eye awakening knowledge, right? Like, I think it all connects, like awakening. I think that's what the main theme here seems to be, awakening.
So so Luke is male, Lucy is female. So this is popular saying, Lucifer, son of the morning, from the Bible. I think it's biblical, but that's incomplete. It's Lucifer, son of the morning star. It's not Lucifer, son of the morning, which is popular. It's Lucifer, son of the morning star. The morning star is Venus. That's Lucy, the son of Venus, because at dawn, Venus pretty much drops and goes out of view as the sun comes up. And so the metaphor is that the sun is the SON, son of Venus. So Venus is like giving birth to the sun. So it's Lucifer, meaning the sun, SON of the morning star, Venus.
Which is the god of transportation. Right?
No, Mercury is...
Oh, Mercury. That's right. My bad. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So astrologically right now, we're in Sagittarius because the sun is in Sagittarius, but Mercury is also in Sagittarius. I think that's why this is happening. A lot of times, if you take a sun sign, whatever planet is in the sun sign will be influential. It could be in your birth chart. So just say, for example, you're someone's born Sagittarius, at this time here. Because Mercury is in Sagittarius, Mercury will influence that person. That person's traits of their life will be influenced by Mercury, because Mercury was in. So whatever planet is in the sun sign will have an influence, which is why you're seeing so much Mercury going on now. And it's also a lot of negative Mercury, because so you have a ruling planet where a planet is at its strongest when it's at home in domicile. The opposite of that, which is the sign opposing, is where a planet is at its weakest in detriment. So opposite of Sagittarius is Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini. Mercury is at home in Gemini. Mercury is at its strongest when it's in Gemini. But opposite Gemini is Sagittarius. When Mercury is in Sagittarius, it's at its weakest, which is why you're seeing things like car crashes and transportation mishaps, because the ruler of transportation and travel, Mercury, and the reason Mercury is the ruler of travel and transportation is because it's the closest planet to the sun. Therefore, it has the shortest orbit. So it's whipping around very fast. So it's in motion. And that's the metaphor for movement and travel. It's the fact that Mercury has a shortest orbit and just whips around the sun. And that's the movement that is what makes it metaphorically the ruler of transportation. And Mercury in Sagittarius, as it is right now, is in detriment. It's at its weakest. So that's the basis of the Mercury, how Mercury is manifesting right now at this particular time.
Someone in the comments too mentioned that we just entered Capricorn. Speaking of Capricorn earlier, right? Didn't we just move to?
Okay. So okay, maybe not for this crash, but during like the Hanukkah shooting, December 14th, you know, those events of Brown shooting. So I don't know when this car crash happened, but
it happened on the 21st, so it would have been right on the precipice of the change there.
Yeah, December 21st is Sagittarius. So Mercury is in Sagittarius when these events happened, but now we've moved to Capricorn. Maybe we'll see less Mercury. Less maybe transportation related.
And the Mercury connection by the numbers was that this guy crashed his car 12 years and 21 days after Paul Walker, which is the day he died. He died in 12/21, and he crashed 12 years, 21 days after Paul Walker. But the two guys were born 12 Mercury years and 21 days apart. So their Mercury birthdays are separated by the day he died on. And then the date, and that's how many days he died on Earth after Paul Walker. So that's clear what they did there. Like that's the 12/21 stuff. But yeah, I just thought don't forget to add that in there because that's a big part of it. Going back to the Mercury stuff.
And what I thought was interesting, I mean, once again, shout out to both of you guys. When we were talking about Lucas Oil and just the Lucas connection, I was like, oh my God, that's what it was. That's why I was wondering why this guy's name was Lucas. Joshua Jackson, Anthony Joshua. He plays Lucas or Luke, right? And yeah, just the opening scene, he's like leaving work and rushing to go to his rowing team. And we'll get to that in a second. But I mean, look how similar this is, right? Donnie's passing that red car. Shout out to you, Cody, for pointing out that this road where they filmed this was exactly where this car crash happened on Angeles Crest Highway.
No, I think it was the road in the opening scene, Susan, of the movie, not that road.
The opening scene when he wakes up on the road, right? With the bike.
I'm not sure where he's at here. I mean, obviously, I don't think the film scene, but where he starts where he begins his bike ride.
That makes sense.
Out of the city?
No, that makes sense because this is way more not residential, right? And this is him coming back home. So yeah,
but he sees that red Porsche going or that red car going, red sports car. Yeah. Like almost like saying, hey, that car is going to go out to the road and crash somewhere. That's kind of what I
mean, it's a time traveling movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? So it's just something to think about. But as Josh Jackson's character Lucas gets in his bike, he's rushing to go to his rowing competition. And sure enough, a car is pulling up behind him, and it's some of his buddies or something. And once again, this is all in the beginning of the film, but he's like riding his bike and he's hanging onto the car and talking to him or whatever. But I just thought that this was just very peculiar, especially since they're both in the early parts of the movie. But we've talked a lot about the ducks this year, right? The duck themes and whatnot. And once again, I kind of opened up my presentation talking about Paul Walker dying in the red Porsche. His character gets awarded a red Porsche. Well, you'll see here, his character's name is Caleb Mann Drake, right? How often have we been talking about, shout out to you, Rambo, you taught me this, that a Drake is a male duck. Man, male, Drake, duck, right? So the wordplay there, you guys know I love that. And once again, this is, sorry if I'm ruining the beginning of the movie for you guys, but it's mainly about these two characters, right? Lucas and Caleb Mandrake. And the very first time you see Paul Walker, well, you see him pulling up in a Ford Bronco. So there's all your horse themes, and then you see him stand up, and they say that he was a skull the day he was born. And I just wanted to show you guys the very opening clip here. I just screenshotted it for you to show you that this movie is about the secret society Skull and Bones. This is literally the very first second of the movie. It says, every year at certain Ivy League colleges, an elite group of students is chosen to join secret societies. Unlike fraternities, these societies conceal their actions as they mold the leaders of the future. Bush family, right? And it says at least 3 U.S. presidents are known to have been members. The most powerful secret society has always been the Skulls. Okay, so that's how it opens, right? And right after this, and just think about all the water themes, right? Ducks and water and the flooding we talked about in Texas, and then you had flooding in the rivers in Washington, Philip Rivers. It shows Lucas, the character Lucas, Josh Jackson, once again, practicing his rowing wherever he is here. I think it's, yeah, it's a little training center. And it made me think about row, row, row your boat. I mean, that's essentially what he does, is row his boat. And it just blew my mind. I did a quick connection because we've also been talking about the Mighty Ducks and Joshua Jackson, right? Who plays Charlie, okay? Well, the original Mighty Ducks movie was released on October 2nd. Well, this car crash that happened on December 21st measured to the anniversary of the release date of Mighty Ducks. It's 285 days. And sure enough, simplest cipher. Row, row, row your boat. 285. That blew my mind. And then where sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
AJ, this is you know that this measurement also is relevant to 2 other things, which is crazy to think about. Donnie Darko also takes place October 2nd. So it's 285 days before Donnie Darko anniversary. Yes. So that happens in 1988 on October 2nd. And then the guy that just died in his red Porsche, his birthday is October 1st. So it's the same date duration with the date added. It's 285 to this guy's birthday.
Right. And
again, that's 9 months, 11 days, by the way. That's 9 months, 11 days.
There's another important October 2nd birthday. Now, the director of Donnie Darko, his father works for NASA. His father worked on a Mars, one of the Mars missions for NASA. That's the father of the director of Donnie Darko. So there's a NASA connection directly with his father. You know what the other October 2nd birthday is? Someone I keep talking about? Jack Parsons. October 2nd is Jack Parsons' birthday.
Get out of here, man.
And I suspect that that's why they chose October 2nd for Donnie Darko, because Jack Parsons is underrated. People like Werner von Braun. No, Jack Parsons is huge in NASA. And I think because the director's father worked for NASA, in fact, he was involved in, missions like the Mars mission, I think, and they've done JPL, Jet Propulsion Labs, is Jack Parsons' lab. He co-founded JPL. That's a shout out to Jack Parsons, that October 2nd.
And yeah, that's crazy. I mean, and then this number is the location address of the One World Trade Center, 285, right? And it's 9 months, 11 days. Is the if you do it in months, it's 9 months, 11 days. So there's so much here.
And someone in the chat pointed out that the red Porsche that Paul Walker died in was a Porsche 911.
911, right? Yeah.
And this happened right before 9/11, right? And another thing, just the color themes, like the blue, right? Like this looks a lot like Donnie Darko, right? You gotta squint your eyes. It's got that Donnie Darko tint to it.
Yeah.
But here's where I just lost it. Okay, with all the Charlie Kirk stuff and the duck stuff, and then this is when Cody, you were like, I know you're like 8 hours ahead of me now, but this is when I just started blowing you up, because I was thinking about row, row, row your boat, and I just did a quick little search and looked into who wrote that tune, and it says, while the original author is unknown, drum roll please, American teacher Ellie Fillet, Orem Lit is his name? Orem.
Yeah, and this just connects
I was
perfectly.
like, Charlie Kirk dies in Orem. Josh Jackson plays Lucas, and he also plays Charlie in the Mighty Duck. Dude, I just the moment I saw this, I nearly fell out of my chair.
And
I
his
couldn't
name is
believe it.
Light and Orem. Orem means serpent, right? Or like the actual Orem Utah. I know it actually connects to serpent or dragon, right? Mandrake, Drake. Yeah, it's actually
right. Yeah, a male duck. Yeah, dude.
Drake
Yeah,
can
like
also be
light.
Drake can also be Draco, like dragon,
Right.
like the constellation Draco. Yeah, and what do the ducks and the dragon have in common is with 3 toes. So dragons are depicted and reptilians are depicted with 3 toes, 3-toed feet, as do ducks and geese and swans. They have that 3, and it's a major secret society hand symbol, which I've shown examples where they put the 2 middle fingers together and the flanking fingers apart to form that 3 toes. It's a Crip hand sign, very famous Crip hand sign, which Kendrick Lamar likes to do a lot, where you kind of intertwine the middle finger and the other finger next to it above each other. Then so it looks like it's almost like you're imitating having 3 toes or 3 fingers. That's the dragon foot, and it's the duck, goose, and swan foot as well.
And Draco is an anagram of Darko.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, nice.
You know, I love my wordplay. I couldn't believe this. Row, row, row your boat is credited to a guy with the middle name Orem. Come on, you guys. Charlie Kirk. So, sorry, anything else before I continue? I only got a couple slides left here.
No, good.
So, for those that have maybe missed this part of it, Charlie Kirk, I still don't really get it why, but he was a Ducks fan. So, to keep us along here, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Conway, the character played by Josh Jackson, and in the Skulls, he's rowing his boat, right? So Charlie Kirk is a Ducks fan, and sure enough, in the first round of the college football playoff, his Oregon Ducks are facing James Madison, kind of like how Charlie Kirk's middle name is James. So right off the bat, I thought that was super interesting, right? And you know what, Rambo? There was a little bit of a scare here because of the green and yellow themes, the upset themes.
Yeah. And the dog,
and the dog, right? So it was like, oh man, like could the Ducks get upset in this particular riddle? Didn't happen.
Did they win that? I didn't even keep track of.
They won big,
the Ducks didn't really have a problem with James Madison, but of course, you know, the first round that tells me like this matchup is telling me that Charlie Kirk's involved with this playoff. You know, not just the Oregon Ducks. You know, you got the James Madison connection here. But check this out. So it's a dog, right? James Madison. Their mascot is technically the Dukes, but a Duke is a bulldog. A bulldog is kind of interchangeable. And what I thought was really interesting, going back to the movie The Skulls, when he does go to the rowing competition, you know, it's a battle back and forth with Yale and because Yale's the bulldog, right? Yeah, Yale is the bulldog. Home of Skull and Bones. Anyways, Yale ends up winning this competition. Sorry to spoil it for you, but they're pointing out that it looks like another bulldog victory, right? Looks like another bulldog victory, and then all of a sudden, the Bulldogs broke an oarlock, right? So one of the oarlocks break in the middle of this competition, and I was just like, oh my God, man. Oregon just played the Bulldogs. You know, like as I'm watching, this is the first 10 minutes of the movie. And I just thought that was incredible. And in closing, right, Skull and Bones, what is the number of Skull and Bones?
It's 322.
322. Right?
Which is a Lucas number.
It is a Lucas number. That's right.
It's a Lucas number, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So in closing, I just want to do a final shout out to you, KODI. Great work on your video about right after the blackout in San Francisco. You had San Francisco playing in Lucas Oil Stadium, right? And they were wearing their, what was it called? The Blackout Knights uniforms or something like that?
Indiana Knights. Yeah.
The Indiana Knights, right? But look at this. In watching your video, you were pointing out that Blackout Bowl, right, which took place on February 3rd, 2013. Well, I just measured the date of that crash where I started my presentation to back to the anniversary of the Blackout Bowl. 322 days.
Yeah.
So that's all I had for you guys tonight. I know we're just over that 2-hour mark, and I want to be very mindful, especially for you, Cody.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to drop out here within a couple minutes, I think, because
yeah,
I'll be cutting it close. But yeah, we got through most of it. I think we got through almost everything I was hoping to get through, at least, or maybe not everything, but a lot of the important stuff.
There's always more to talk about. I mean, we can start with or end with closing comments if there was anything else you guys wanted to touch on with what I had to share.
Well, with the last part, the 322, and then being the Skull and Bones number, again, I'll just to go to show, because I really wanted to show this this part so people, hold on a second, understand what I was talking about. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, never mind. I just noticed that Manchester United Football Club equals 285 in bacon.
Huh.
I just happened to have it up, and we had just looked at that number, and I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. I don't know how that would ever connect, but I mean, it is interesting. But the blackout, just to go with that, real fast. I got my screen up now. And Rambo, he's talked about this number a lot. San Francisco, the number was that they had 130,000 out. We know that Trump's been quoted with that number multiple times.
Because that's the dollar amount in the Stormy Daniels scandal.
Yeah.
The hush money scandal is $130,000, which is tied into the number 130. Donald Trump in Elizabethan with 130.
Yeah, and in this case, it's probably tied to that, but I think they used it because they wanted to tie it to the Super Bowl. So that's the gematria of the Super Bowl this year, Super Bowl LX 130. So that's pretty clear. And then just to quickly connect this part, San Francisco 50, Blackout 50, Super Bowl LX 50. This just happened to happen 50 days before the Super Bowl. But here's the big one. This is what I was telling you earlier, just so you can see it on. When I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, 635 days from the ship losing power in Baltimore and hitting the bridge to the bridge going out in San Francisco. 635 days, right? Well, the Blackout Bowl was between Baltimore and San Francisco. And if you measure from that game to that day, 4703 days, the 635th prime. So, I mean, just think about that. How perfect, considering the Blackout Bowl involved these two cities, okay? And then this ship was said to have lost power before it hit the bridge. So that right there is 100% clear to me that is exactly what this was about. It's the most important part of this, I think. And I don't know how that's going to tie into and again, it was 50 days before the Super Bowl. In San Francisco equals 50, like Blackout. So I don't know what that points to. And then the Colts did play the 49ers the next day. So
also remember regarding 50, Santa Clara, San Francisco hosted Super Bowl 50.
Right.
That was the one which was pre-coded by Back to the Future, which told you the contestants, told you who would win, because it told you who the MVP was, because the MVP was Von Miller, the big Miller truck. And what's Von Miller's birthday? March 26th. That's the date that the ship blacked out and brought the bridge down in Baltimore. It was March 26th, which is also Biff Tannen's birthday. I don't know where the Panthers are doing. I mean, it could be really crazy. Imagine if we see that Super Bowl again. Panthers are in it now.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah, they came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that could be crazy with all the Charlotte stuff going on too this year with Charlotte, Carolina, Charles. Carolina is a form of Charles.
There was another plane crash that just happened in North Carolina. I'm sure you guys saw that one. That was probably about a week ago.
Well, that was the one I talked about, right?
Yeah,
Or
that's
is
the
that
one.
different?
I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
one Cody talked about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Biffle.
That was right after.
What was
right
it?
after.
Oh,
yeah,
it was the Biffle one. That's right. Okay, sorry. I get
yeah, yeah.
there's so many.
That's right after Michael Jordan had the settlement with NASCAR.
Yep.
Happened right after that, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the Biff connection, of course, right?
Yeah. Could have been
Yeah,
any
oh,
Again,
obvious.
Biff Tannen's birthday is it's March 26th, which would make Biff Tannen 88 years old.
Well, that's the big thing, Rambo, is that Biff Tannen, if you go from his birth or his the character's birth to the crash of Biffle, he would have been 88 years, 267 days old. Well, this connects us to the golden gate of the ecliptic. It's at 267 degree right now. This happened during the time of the sun being closest to that. And then the power goes out where the golden gate is, you see? And the 267 is the area code for Philadelphia as well. And Indianapolis Colts equals 267.
So you know where else 267 is big? It is the axial tilt of the planet Saturn. The planet Saturn tilts,
Oh,
till it's its equivalent. Okay, it has an equator. We'll say, well, this is the Saturnian equivalent of the tropics, tropical Cancer, Capricorn. Its maximum tilt is 26.7 degrees. So it'll tilt 26.7 degrees, then go back to equinox, and then tilt the other way 26.7 degrees.
well, so
and then
isn't
go
that
back.
perfect? That's just perfect then, because not only does it connect to the golden gate being at the 267 degree, we were in the time of Saturnalia at that time. And it was right after the Pope 266 Pope's birthday, when we just got the 267 Pope, who is the sun. And again, the sun is closest right now during that time, just a few days ago, was near the 267th degree. I believe Bobby Simpson has told me that Pope Francis' birthday is actually December 17th or 18th, is actually pretty much right on the day where the sun is at that degree, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's when the golden gate of the ecliptic, that's when the sun is right in that area, right? And that's exactly why I believe we just got the 267th Pope. That's why. Like, I believe that's a huge reason why. And that's why Philadelphia won the 267 area code right before that.
Oh, wow. Older Bones just threw in a bomb here to probably close us out. Charlotte Lucas, that's the founder of Lucas Oil.
Oh, really? No, I didn't catch that.
The wife of the couple, anyway. Wow. Huh. Well, I mean, there's your Charlotte connections too.
Yeah,
that's amazing, man. Let's close it out. We're right over that 2-hour mark. Cooper's calling. He's barking. He's saying it's time to wrap it up. But thank you guys again so much. Seriously, I mean, for those that do celebrate the holidays, I want to wish you all just a beloved time with your friends and family. And I just want to extend a sincere thank you to everybody in the chat, and a sincere thank you to you, Rambo, and to you, Cody. You guys are true blessings. So I'm reflecting on those kinds of things as we enter the new year, even though, there's debates and, we have different leans on when the new year really starts. But anyways, I'm just trying to lean into the good side of the holidays. I want to wish you guys all a very happy and safe end to the new year. And I look forward to seeing you guys again next week. My name's AJ, Balll Don't Lie, 3 L's and Ball. My email is right up here. You guys can reach out to me anytime. Wordplaybook, 3 O's and book @gmail.com. Most of my content is on Instagram and YouTube, and just finished my 11th book, Sorry Charlie. Hard copies are available. I only got a handful of them, so if you guys are interested, let me know. But I can also send you guys any or all of my books for free. Just send me an email. Really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks again. Thank you, AJ, and thank you, Cody, and thank you, audience. And so I will have so much more on what I presented today. There were other sports events linked to what I've been talking about. I'm still going to talk more about Jack Parsons. A lot is linked to Jack Parsons, JP. That's why you had Jake Paul. And again, we talked about his, so he's relevant. We talked about it. No need to rehash that, but I will expound on it more in upcoming decodes on patreon.com/thetruthcodes, and I'll be putting some other decodes out on Instagram as well. Thanks again.
I'm looking forward to it. And no, thank you, Rambo. True blessing as always. Another great ending to the best night of the week, as I always say. Cody, close us out, brother.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Rambo. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, everyone in the chat. And yeah, have a great Christmas, everyone, and appreciate you all. Again, you can find me on Decoding with Cody at YouTube, and then the Buy Me a Coffee link is right there. I know someone earlier mentioned and somebody said was looking for that link or something. I don't remember exactly, but that's the link. So I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys all have a good Christmas, and we'll see you next week. I guess one day left. Our next stream is one day left. For me, it will be we'll be streaming on the last day of the year. It'll be the 31st on the day of our last stream.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Great way to close out the year and the best night of the week, or in your case, the best morning of the week.
Yeah.
But the all of the links are also in the description of this video, you guys. So as always, thank you guys so much for the love and the contributions. Please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Does not cost a thing. It really means a lot. It really helps grow not only this channel, but also the show, right? Getting more people in and building off of each other. So love you all, and we'll see you guys next week. Until next time.